Hi everybody, I'm Alain from Mechanical Works, which is my one-man studio where I make the game BattleJuice Alchemist. In my last video, I talked about the idle behavior of the enemies in my game, which means what they do when they don't fight the player. And what I'm currently working on is an overhaul of their behavior inside combat. And yeah, because I'm working on that, I would like to have another chat about AIs in video games, especially the games that inspire me. Let's get started. Before I get going myself, I want to give you a little recommendation, and it's another YouTube video. It's called What Makes a Good AI by Mark Brown on his channel Game Maker's Toolkit. And I think you should really check that out because it's a great summary. It's more like an essay. What I can't provide here, it's I'm just rambling and he's making great essays. So you could, check that out if you're interested. Maybe it's not the best idea to send you away to another video, but yeah, as I said, that's a great one. So what I want to talk about is the games that have great AIs that inspire me in one way or the other. And one is HalfLife, the first one, and also the original XCOM, which is called UFO Enemy Unknown in the European box version. And yeah, you might know that. Before we start talking about HalfLife, I want to share something with you. And it's the XCOM box a bit more in detail. First of all, it's super cool that it's a box. Yeah, because we don't have that anymore. But back in 1994, games were boxed. And I'll open it up for you here. I hope you can see it. First of all, yeah, it's got a manual and it's as thick as a book, and you needed that to understand the game. At least I did. I think the original XCOM didn't have any tutorials at all, and it was a hard game, and you had to learn it by reading. And another really cool thing is that it's on 3 floppy disks. I mean, many of you, I think, might not have used them in a very long time, so you might be as nostalgic for them as I am. And the third thing is this reply formula or letter that you can send back to the seller, and on the back there's a list of games that you can buy by ticking the box, and then they send you the box. And what is super cool is you have to tell them which system you're using, like MS-DOS or the Amiga or the C64 or the Atari. And yeah, I mean, this doesn't have much to do with enemy AI, but I thought, yeah, it's super cool and I'm super nostalgic for it, and maybe some of you appreciate that. I already talked about some of the AI in HalfLife in my last video, especially the Hound Eye, which is this dog-like creature that wakes up its packmates when there's danger nearby, which is something I also incorporated into BattleJuice Alchemist. But what I want to talk about now is combat behavior. And as you might know, there are some super interesting enemies in HalfLife, and one I remember very well is the Assassin. The Assassin does interesting things like a backflip to back off and bring some distance between it and the player, and it also checks out noises the player makes, but it also does something that appears stupid at the first glance, which is it never throws a grenade at the player when the player can't see it throwing the grenade. And this is something stupid because an assassin would do it maybe the other way around, but it shows that AI does not have to be super smart, it just has to appear smart. Another thing I thought about a lot that is indirectly related to enemy AI is the question, which kind of fantasy do I want to sell to the player? Which means, who are we playing when we play Juice the Alchemist? And I came to the conclusion that the alchemist is fragile and a nerd, and not somebody who charges the enemies head on with their fists and punches them to death, but often keeps a distance and maybe sometimes even retreats to town to use the alchemical workbench and develop a new potion. And the enemies have to give the player the chance to use these skills, these potions. But on the other hand, they have to be a bigger menace because the feeling that you are a nerd and you are fragile can only come out when the enemies are dangerous. Speaking of tough enemies, let's get back to the original XCOM. The AI in the original XCOM could be brutal. It could happen to you that in the first round of a new mission, your whole squad could be killed by one grenade of an alien. And I wouldn't say that's perfect game design, but it conveyed a feeling. And the feeling was that you were human and your technology was not as advanced as the aliens, and with their superior grenades, they could kill you in a minute. And I think this was the feeling the creator wanted to convey, and this was done very well in my opinion. A last thing that makes a great AI, in my opinion, is when the enemies interact with the systems of the game a lot. Like I already implemented in my game that enemies walk around when they are idle and check out items that lie on the ground, or they get thirsty and find a river to drink at. And what I'm doing right now is overhauling the AI for the combat system. And yeah, I will make a video about that. This will be the next one I make. And yeah, as you know, you can wishlist BattleJuice Alchemist on Steam. There's a link for that in the description. If you like this video, you can leave it a thumbs up and subscribe, or even support me on Patreon. Thank you so much for watching and take care. Bye.